Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating discussion about why C, despite its reputation for performance, isn't ideally suited for SIMD operations. It's a bit of a technical deep dive, but stick with us. It's really interesting.
I'm eager to hear this. I've always wondered about the limitations of C in the context of parallel processing. So what's the core issue?
The core problem lies in how C compiles code, especially when it comes to things like stepped reductions with lexical scoping. The article points out that this approach directly clashes with the parallel execution needed for SIMD. Think about it. SIMD is all about doing the same operation on multiple data points simultaneously.
Right, parallel processing. But how does C's compilation get in the way? Is it something to do with function calls?
Exactly. The article uses the sigmoid function as an example. You'd think you could just vectorize the express function, right? But in C, calling a function like express involves a context switch, breaking the flow of parallel execution. The SIMD instructions can't just seamlessly operate on the results of the function call. It's like trying to assemble a car on an assembly line, but every time you need a part, you have to stop the whole line and go get it individually. Inefficient, right?
So function calls are the bottleneck? That makes sense. But what about other languages? How do they handle this?
That's where the discussion gets really interesting. The author contrasts C's approach with functional languages like Haskell. In Haskell, a function like sum isn't just a block of code. It's an entity understood within the compiler's context. This allows for much more flexibility and optimization, especially when it comes to inlining and avoiding the overhead of function calls. It's a completely different paradigm.
So Haskell's compiler essentially knows more about the function and can optimize it better for SIMD? That's a significant difference.
Precisely. In C, map2 can't rely on 2 as a simple sequence of assembly instructions. It has to treat it as a separate entity, much like Haskell handles sum, which limits the compiler's ability to optimize for SIMD. It's a fundamental difference in how the languages and their compilers work.
It sounds like the elegance of C's compilation model, while efficient in many ways, becomes a hindrance when dealing with the complexities of SIMD. It's a trade-off, I guess.
Absolutely. The article suggests that array languages are naturally better suited for SIMD because they inherently express parallel calculations more directly. Perhaps there are better compilation methods or data structures that could bridge this gap in C. But as it stands, it's a significant limitation. The author even mentions that OS X provides specific vectorized functions like vfloat-vex-pf to work around this issue, highlighting the problem's significance.
So it's not that C can't do SIMD, but it's not its strength, and it requires workarounds. It's a compelling argument. Thanks for breaking this down.
My pleasure. It's a complex topic, but understanding these fundamental differences in language design and compilation is crucial for writing truly high-performance code. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Join us tomorrow for another exciting deep dive into the world of technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.